Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from the Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Neil Harden. I'm chairing today's panel. With me is Brent McIntyre to my far left, or far right rather, and Gisela Rempel to my immediate right. The recording secretary is Jason Robertson, and the assessor today is Jennifer Martins. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along in the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing is concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rule in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by council and is independent of it in the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at the hearing, and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will include with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the importance of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing item 1 on our docket today. Mr. Reverend, can you please affirm the assessors and the applicant's testimony?
Madam Assessor.
Yes.
Please state your full name.
Jennifer Suzanne Martins.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes.
Please state your full name.
It's Farid Eshqi Esfahani.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so the only remaining item on today's agenda is 1382 Pembina Highway. So Ms. Martins, you can proceed with your evidence on that.
Okay, thank you very much. This is roll number 0308081000, 1382 Pembina Highway. This is for roll year 2023 with a reference date of April 1st, 2021. The assessed value is $1,060,000. This is classification 60. Liability is taxable. The parcel use is CMRRE, which is a restaurant. It was built in 1986 with an effective year built of 2000. The wall height is 11 feet. And the land area is 15,590 square feet with a plan area of 2,100 square feet. If we move to page 2, We see that the subject has a sale, quite dated, from 2007, and the consideration was $500,000, which matches the sworn value and the sale price. We have one lease on the property, and it is for $18 a square foot. If we look on page 3, we have 7 comparable rents, and they range from $29.88 to $32.99. On page 4, we have the income workup. We show that the tenant class for this is a standard restaurant. For the full space, the 2,100 square feet, the rent we have in place is $31.54, giving us a potential rent of $66,234. We've applied a 6% vacancy loss and 3% for expenses, giving it a shortfall of $8 per square foot, giving us an NOI of $59,384. A capitalization rate of 5.6 has been applied, which gives us our $1,060,000. On page 6, we have our standard cap rate table. On page 7, we have our municipal board excerpts. We do have a mailer on page 8 through 10. And on the last page, page 11, there are some pictures. There's an overhead showing on a map of where this is located. It is south of McGillivray on Pembina. And then there is a overhead shot of the property itself, and then a street view shot. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Applicant, do you have questions of the assessor?
No.
Okay, Brent, questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Usually questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Okay, I've got one question. The current lease is a net rent of $18. Is that an arm's length rent, do you know? An arm's length lease?
I'm not sure if that
Yeah.
is an arm's length lease or not.
Okay, and it seemed the rent you applied was quite a bit higher than that. Was that a modeled rent that you're applying?
Yes, I did apply it is a modeled rent that is applied, and it is more in alignment with what the market shows is a market rent.
Okay, and your rent comparables seem to be mostly fast food places. Yeah, but this is a bakery and cafe, is it not?
Yes, yes.
Okay, it seems to be a bit of a different animal than say Cordoba or something like that.
Well, I looked at it as like the Red Top is a restaurant that people go in and they sit down to eat. And these are also rated at C4, and they've got the similar pack.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Mr. Applicant, you can begin your presentation.
Well, regarding the amount of rent, respectfully, I completely disagree with these numbers. I am looking at realtor.ca, and I'm looking at the property just in front of 1382 Pembina. What I can see here at 1373, the rent is 20. These are the property, by the way, they haven't been successful. The other one at 1365, because they are selling. The other one is $18 per square feet at 1365. And let me see if there is another one higher up here. And what I can mention, this is the properties that I can see around my own property, just across the street. And these are the properties are not surviving. They are going bust. In front of my property, there are, let me see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 businesses that are on sale just on the other side of the street. And this is just what I can say about adjacent to my property. If you go to the market, because the only thing I know about this is really not my business. I'm only an investor. What I can look at the available properties nowadays, this is my opinion. The hottest and the most desirable property right now that is getting multiple offers. One example, which is similar to the type I have, which is C2, is at 660 Osborne. It is on sale. It has 5, I think, I'm not sure, 5 different businesses. One of them is Subway, and the other one is it's just a place that give coffee and breakfast, similar to the business I have. And the return, I can't tell you exactly each property, each business net rent, because I signed a confidentiality information. But what on the website available, and you can see it, the return is 5.2 according to their own website, not giving the detail. So everything I can compare to my property is either 18, close to 18, often less. And I have to consider that this business needs to survive. It can barely survive with the current condition as it is. The price of the cost of food is keep going up, and they are barely can survive. And that's why the other businesses on the other side, they're going out of business. They cannot survive. And those businesses that I'm talking about, majority of them are food business. I don't want to say all of them because I'm under oath, so I would say majority of them. They are under food business. And this is the reality of the market. This food industry is barely surviving, and they have another potential COVID season in a month or two. So the idea of increasing the rent, it's not practical, because if I lose my tenant, then I wouldn't be able to even give this $18 because I have to offer tenant improvement, which would be quite costly. So the logical thing for me is just keep a tenant who's been able to survive COVID barely with the loan got from federal government, but is a viable business right now. And you really can't squeeze out of the business who are really in trouble. So that's about the disagreement I have about the rent. To show, nobody argued about the potential of maybe this land is underdeveloped and has potential for development. I mean, that's another issue. And that's the reason I showed the picture, that the way the building is set up is this is the maximum I can get. There is a sewer pit beside it. It stopped me from building much beside it. The only thing I can build is behind the building, which would be on eastern side. But that pretty much is going to be behind the building and doesn't have any opening from to the Pemina. So the only person I can rent it to is existing tenant. And I even got a code if I want to build something like that, 1,000 square feet. Behind it, the code I got is around over 400. It's only a code in January. And they said the price can go up any moment, which has been going up. So even as developmental value, it has very limitation. And the reason I mentioned about developmental value of the property, I compared it to the property north and the properties south. And those, for example, the library has much bigger building that my property has, and the value is 449. And again, if I'm looking at the website, if I'm wrong, just let me know. South of the property is a business named Barken. And you should have those numbers. I'm just looking at the picture. Based on just looking at the picture, the size of the building itself is 2, if not 3 times. Again, I'm just looking at it. This is not a professional comment, but the size of the building, when you look at from Google Map, is quite larger than mine. And that property has plenty of parking and is blessed with the free parking from the city for 2 hours. And that property, which has much larger building, a little bit smaller land, but much bigger building, it's 1,107,000. And if you go one below that, it's gonna be a property which is quite bigger, and the building, again, based on the picture, is bigger than my building, and that one is 1,094,000. So anyway I look at it, what I can actually, not in theory, actually I can get rent out of this with the business as it is, and really no potential for meaning development in future. This is extremely overvalued. And if we agree that these are what I can do the best, at least with the current condition, then I'm not sure why the property price went up. High property value for me as an owner is fine, because I'm seriously thinking to sell the commercial property, because commercial property nowadays, rent-wise, is not as good as residential anymore. But high value means higher rent for my tenant.
Okay, is
That's pretty much all I have.
Okay. Questions, Ms. Martins?
Yes, please. Just speaking quickly to your comparable property that you were talking about at 660 Osborne.
Yes.
The area around 660 Osborne is, do you feel that the area that property is in is comparable to the property that we're discussing today?
This is, again, because I'm under oath, it's busier than my property area. It has one of the largest per size of the building. Again, I'm not a professional. Based on the number of the building I've seen, the number of parking has, based on the size of the land is 17,827. The building size is 6,536. You really can't find any property like this with so much building and so many parking. They are claiming 40 plus parking, and the area, even the area, it has more people walking around. And in front of that is it Safeway or is it one of the big franchise? And there is a pedestrian with the light that from that side of the busy business can walk to this business. And when you say it's comparable, the reality is it is very good that people, there are multiple buyers. I didn't even try to put a bid on it, put it that way. So with that type of rent, I mean, you know what is the rent rate on that, because I can say, but you have it in your computer. What is the rent rate? It's, I mean, are you able to tell that? I mean, I know it, but I'm not allowed to talk about it because of the confidentiality agreement. But I can tell you based on their website is 5.2% return. Yes, the question is it comparable? I think it's better than my property because you can come to my property any time of the day and see how many people are walking at 1382 Pemina. This is south of McIlvery, not north. And see how many people on any given day are walking in the Osborne Street, especially in front of Safeway. And in front of my building, there are all dead businesses. They're all on sale or they're selling their businesses.
Okay. Just taking a quick look. The other properties that are around your building that you're comparing the values to, are they also restaurants or are some of them different building types? Are they stores and other types of
the one just south of my building, it is Barcade.
Okay.
And it's repair of air conditioning and I believe heaters and things like that. The one above me is library, and the one further south, I'm not sure. I'm just looking at the map. The one I sent you, and I'm looking at that. It looks quite larger, and looking at the building is bigger than mine. So land and building, they are bigger than mine. And, you know, the numbers, they really, they don't add up. I mean, the one north of me is 449. I mean, you have to look at it on the Google map to appreciate the size of my building and their building. Or you may have the number actually on your website. I don't know.
Looking at what the building that you're speaking, but so the one that's just north of you, that is the 449.
Library. Yes.
Yeah. So that's a completely different type of building. It's not an income producing property. It's a library.
Mm-hmm. And what about the south?
Well, I don't. Do you feel that comparing the property, your property value, to a city-owned library is a fair comparison?
Okay, before going down the street, I'll just remind the parties that comparison of assessments is not considered evidence of market value by the board.
Thank you. 2 more questions. The tenant, is the tenant an arm's length tenant? Are they related to you in any way, or are your businesses?
Yes. Yes. He's my brother. Yes.
Okay, so it's not an arm's length. And was the sale in 2007 for $500,000? I'm sorry, am I frozen or?
No.
Okay.
No, I think that's that sale price is in your evidence there.
Okay. And was that an arm's length sale?
I bought it from the oil company, I believe.
Okay.
I don't know what's arm length. It wasn't related to me. It's an oil company, I think.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's everything I have.
Okay, Mr. App, what?
And the other thing about.
Can I ask you, what do you think a fair value for your property would be then?
Are you asking me or
Yes.
assessor?
Yeah. I'm asking you what you.
If you're asking, if you're asking me is if the return, we accept a reasonable return is 0.6, and if you look at the other rents that cross my street is similar to mine, if it's 0.6, the value of property you have to calculate based on my calculation is $630,000. If we accept it is 0.6. If we go higher up, obviously the value of property comes down. And if we, I don't know what is the reason. The real estate usually I talk to say the reason.
Mr. Farid, you're cutting out. I've got an error here. It says your network bandwidth is low.
I don't know. So for
Mr. Farid, we cannot hear you at the moment. You're frozen.
I think I got frozen or something.
Yes.
I can hear your last question. Yeah, go ahead.
If you could repeat what you were stating, we didn't hear you clearly.
Yeah, the last thing I said was if you accept 0.6 or 6% is a reasonable return, the value of property would be 630.
630.
Okay. All right, Brent, any questions?
Just one, just to confirm that the lease is with your brother, correct?
Yeah. And I would like to add one more.
I'm not finished.
Yes, absolutely.
If you were to lease it with a different individual, what rent would you charge?
I wouldn't charge at this moment more, but I have to pay improvement tenant fee. Anybody comes in, if they even keep it as it is, they have to do renovation. And the reason I know that, because this wasn't my only investment property. I've done this and I end up selling the other properties because I really couldn't handle the tenants of leaving without any notice or calling bankruptcy or ongoing demand. At least with the person I know that he would fix this stuff and wouldn't call me left and right for whatever that might be my part. So your question is, I believe it's $18 because I am looking at it. We try to be fair. He doesn't want to take advantage of because the rent doesn't pay me, it's going out of my pocket. So what he does or what I do, I look at the rent on the other side of the building, and that rent is available to you. The number is available to you on the realtor.ca. You can have a look at it. So that's what I call the fair. Rather than somebody goes to another region and I quote 660 Osborne, which I think is a better property for retail purpose. You can look at.
I think you've answered my question.
Yes, I think $18 is quite reasonable.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
No
Any
problem.
questions?
No, I have none. Thank you.
Okay, and I've asked my questions, so does either party wish to do a brief summation?
May I ask one follow-up question?
Sure, go ahead.
Out of curiosity, do you recall what any of your previous assessments were or if you appealed them?
No, honestly, I didn't know about this. I mean, I thought, this is the way the value is. The reason I did not appeal previously, because after I sold I had one property in Osborne and I had another property in Pembina. Again, because of the tenant, they drove me crazy. I sold them. One of them bankrupt and the other one was just demanding fix this, fix that. So I wasn't really looking for the properties. When the property became more attractive, I went and looked around. That's why I know these properties are on sale, because I am looking right now. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't know 660 is for sale or the other property, 1873 Henderson. So these are the property I looked and I realized the rent they are asking and the value of the property really doesn't add up with what I have. That's why I appealed.
Thank you.
Okay, so that we have heard all the items scheduled and this hearing is now adjourned. So thank you very much for your presentations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Turn this down.